You're listening to the Business Wealth Impact Podcast, your source for empowering information and cutting-edge ideas from the world's top minds. I'm your host, Jeanne Amlour, founder of seven-figure coaching company, Jeanne Amlour International. Join me on a journey to unleash your potential and create your highest success. Welcome to Business Wealth Impact. Hello and welcome to another wonderful show. We have an incredible guest here, Linda Boardman. Linda is forward-thinking and innovative, and she's also passionate about the natural food space. Since assuming the Chief Executive Officer role at Bragg Live Food Products in 2019, she has embodied Bragg's values: bold, collaborative, open, engaged, and proud. She lives out the Bragg mission to inspire and nourish healthy living in both her personal and professional life. Welcome, Linda.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm thrilled to have you because I've been using Bragg products for years and I'm really into health. So I jumped at the chance of getting you on the show. So let's start unpacking all this. You joined Bragg in 2019.
Yes, I did.
And there are no Bragg members left of that family, correct?
No, I took the reins from Patricia Bragg, who handed over the CEO role at the age of 89 back in 2019.
Wow. Okay. So you're like part of the family. Now, I'm very interested in Bragg's mission. What is that mission for people that don't know?
Bragg, for more than 100 years, our whole existence has been committed to helping people live more healthy and vibrant lives. And this started out with Paul Bragg more than 100 years ago. He was a health educator, and the products really were born out of his desire to help people live this healthy lifestyle with more ease. And he developed products to bring that to life. He was actually one of the first people to open a health food store in the United States.
Okay, I didn't know that. I knew that he was heavily involved in the health food store kind of industry. Now, before he created his bottled apple cider vinegar, people used to just like make their own and they'd have them in these big jugs, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. Apple cider vinegar has been around since Hippocrates. I mean, it's always had a use in both health, wellness, and food preservation, obviously, through all of this long period of time.
Right. Now, you were telling me before we went on, I didn't know this, that Paul had actually developed 365 products, one for each day of the year. That's fascinating. And what a nightmare to produce all that, right?
Yes. He really wanted other people to open health food stores. So that was the beginning of the Bragg line. And he had a catalog and sold 365 products, lots of foods and supplements, teas, all kind of things. So we don't have 365 products today, but we still have a line of healthy food products to help bring wellness into your everyday diet.
Right. Okay. Now, what's fascinating is I've closely followed a bunch of health trends since I was 17. Like I've been through all different, the tofu that they said was healthy and the soy milk and now it's not healthy and all this stuff. And it's interesting to me that what he thought was healthy is still healthy because we all know that apple cider vinegar just is healthy. So it stood the test of time with fads, right? And also the nutritional yeast. That's still healthy because it's not brewer's yeast, because we had the whole brewer's yeast fad, awful tasting. And it turns out that's not that great for you if you have candida, right? Mm-hmm. And also the amino acids. So I find it fascinating that he was right because I know a lot of health foods, like even from the 70s, we don't consider those health food now,
Yes. That's such a wonderful point. One of the things we talk about a lot at Bragg is we are not health food fad followers. Paul was very early on with things that are commonplace health knowledge today. He was talking about a plant-based diet. He was talking about the need for lots of water, daily exercise, breathing techniques to manage stress. He was talking about organics before I even knew that word was out in the vocabulary. So really ahead of the curve in so many ways, and even intermittent fasting, which is very popular right now. And Paul espoused that as well. So I think his holistic look at a healthy lifestyle really survives the test of time.
Absolutely. I mean, we figured out that the number one thing when we're aging is to do exercise. That's it. more than what
Mhm.
you eat. And
Yeah.
also intermittent fasting, you don't have to do that in certain people. It's not good for, but it's still, could be faddish. But the
Mhm.
whole point of staple main products, which are amino acids, and which is a really good, substitute for soy sauce, which is not that good for you
Mhm.
because we use that instead of soy sauce in our home.
Mhm.
And the apple cider vinegar. Now, you were telling me also that people come up to you and say, "Oh my goodness, I use these products and this is what I use them for." What is the most unusual usage that you've heard for somebody using the apple cider vinegar?
I don't know what the unusual one is, but I can just tick some off.
Mm,
A lot of people have used it for hair rinse for a long time,
hmm
swear by it,
hmm
say that they had scalp problems and things that are gone.
hmm
People use it for acid indigestion, GERD.
hmm
People use it for, I had one guy swear that it helped him with his gout.
hmm
So the thing that's interesting is we don't have scientific or medical studies yet
hmm
to prove all these things out. So it's not something that Bragg is claiming
hmm
because we're not a pharmaceutical company. We don't have millions of dollars to spend on clinical studies. And yet there are all of these consumers that have such really interesting and motivating stories about how this product has helped their life.
Right. Well, we just need to Google, what is apple cider vinegar healthy for, and it's all over the internet anyway. If we don't have to type in the Bragg. We just say apple cider vinegar in general,
Yeah,
right? So
right.
that's cool. And okay,
Mhm.
so moving forward, what's the mission now that and how are you preserving the name? But I guess all the shareholders are not family now. But it sounds like they're keeping this mission alive because they care about the company.
Oh, absolutely. The company is very mission oriented. It's the cornerstone of what we do, and really the commitment to the Bragg healthy lifestyle and figuring out new ways to bring that forward. And what that looks like is we're trying to make our products more accessible. That's a big thing for us, both by entering new geographies, but also by entering new sales channels.
Hmm
For instance, we were not anywhere in e-commerce when I took over as CEO in 2019, and that's now a real growth channel for us.
Mm,
We're looking at moving into new sales channels like the dollar channel of retail, which is great.
hmm
Geographic expansion into new countries, really making Bragg more accessible to people everywhere. And that was Patricia Bragg's, Paul's adopted daughter who took the reign in the 70s. That was her biggest pride, was to be accessible to people everywhere.
Right, to help people have better health. I think it's great you're going into the dollar stores because some of the people that go into the dollar stores aren't even going into the same supermarkets where Bragg is sold. So,
Exactly.
yes, yes, so that's amazing. Now you're also, it's interesting. I also always find it interesting when I see these novelty sort of faddish, should be healthy alternatives. And I saw these like apple cider vinegar, like chewy things. And I thought that's probably not going to work. And you were saying that they don't work, but you have developed some sort of product where you can eat the vinegar in a candy or something.
Our product, we have a supplement product, it's a capsule form.
Mm,
But what we found was that all of these gummy products that became very popular over the last 4 years,
mm,
they don't have nearly enough of the active ingredient, acetic acid, to really make an impact on the health. And
mm,
the three main health benefits that have been studied by medical and scientific experts have been helping to manage healthy cholesterol,
mm-hmm,
helping to manage healthy blood sugar levels, so
mm-hmm,
to avoid those spikes,
mm-hmm,
and related to that, helping to manage healthy weight levels.
mm-hmm.
Uh, but what we found was you would have to take an entire bottle, like 30 of those gummies, to equal 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar.
Wow. So they think they're getting something healthy, and that's if you're doing something healthy and you're not, right?
Yes,
Right. Okay.
right.
So generally, but you have to be careful with apple cider vinegar that you don't drink too much of it because it can actually affect your teeth enamel.
You want to dilute it when you're drinking the vinegar. Always dilute it.
Is it 1 to 3 was the dilution?
We say 1 tablespoon for 8 ounces of
Right. It's
water.
even less.
Mhm,
Right. Yeah. So it's 1 tablespoon.
mhm,
Very important because I think some people take too much of it. Okay. So if you get
mhm.
8 ounces of water and put a tablespoon into it and drink it, you can't go wrong. Something good is happening.
Right. Yep. Yes. I take my vinegar every day. I think that's my preferred way. But for people who are on the go that don't have the ability to bring liquid with them, we did introduce this capsule, introduced on e-commerce in 2021, and then it went into bricks and mortar stores in 2022. So you can get the same effective dose of acetic acid, 750 milligrams of acetic acid in 3 capsules.
Same as that's really good for people that don't want to have to bring a bottle with them traveling.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, I'm curious, what were you doing before you worked for Bragg?
Yeah, well, I have been in the natural food space for a long time. So going back to the beginning, I started in food at Ocean Spray Cranberries way back in the day, and worked both in the communications field and then marketing. And then I spent a long span at Whole Foods Market, most of which I ran private label. And then from there, I became the president of a company called Applegate Farms. It's the #1 organic and natural deli meat company in the United States. And after that, I started working with a group that invested in different natural foods companies to help them grow. And that was a great opportunity for me because I care deeply about these natural foods companies sustaining and being able to hold on to that values of natural, healthier food and kind of grow and prosper. And that ended up landing me at Bragg.
Now, what's your mission? What got you involved in all this?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have always really been interested in food. Even back in my 20s, I had an organic garden in my backyard. I was very into cooking and nutrition and trying to kind of figure out what was going to make me feel best in eating and food choices and preparation. So that landed me in this food career. And the more I learned through that, from my time working in communications at Ocean Spray, and certainly from all the years at Whole Foods, where I was exposed to so many products and brands, made me really more committed to trying to ensure we were protecting this base of natural and organic foods.
So interesting, though. In the old days, we didn't need organic because there wasn't a lot of sprays happening. So
Exactly.
I'm guessing Paul was talking about that when he saw that they started using more stuff.
Exactly.
Right. Because in the old days, our food had so many more nutrients in it that people that say, oh, I'm getting all my nutrients from food. I'm like, yeah, but our food is so much less nutrient dense than it used to be. You kind of have to take supplements to get everything you need nowadays, which is kind of a shame unless you happen to be on a farm where the soil is not, denigrated like soil is, with the fact that they're just growing and growing so much. So, okay. So now what's the future of Bragg then? What is the future plan? I'm guessing you guys have like a 10, 20-year plan. 20 is hard because with AI and all the longevity stuff, but we still know that we're still going to need apple cider vinegar. But what is that? Are you taking into account all the changes that are about to happen in our world for your longer term plans?
Sure. Well, it's interesting that you say that. Yes and no, because the thing that hasn't changed, which we found, is people are just as interested and committed to doing things for their health as they were 100 years ago when Paul Bragg started the company. So we have pictures in our archive of Paul. He used to hold these forums where he'd have hundreds of people come to listen to him lecture on the Bragg healthy lifestyle. And he had the Hollywood stars of the day. Jane Russell was a big disciple. He started Jack LaLanne's career, if you ever heard of Jack LaLanne, the exercise guru. So way back then, people were listening to Paul and really caring about how to make these changes, simple changes in their life to live more healthily and more vibrantly. And that's still true today. So our 10-year goal is really to continue to bring that to more people. And that means both, as I spoke about earlier, through being more accessible, but also we're looking at our product line expansion. We've done a lot in apple cider vinegar. We've done flavored vinegars, which have a number of different usage, whether you use them in a recipe or you make drinks or mocktails out of them. I already talked a little bit about our new capsules that came out in 2022. But now we're looking at other food opportunities. We think that there's a lot more runway for nutritional yeast as people are trying to replace dairy, and it's a great flavor agent that replaces dairy in so many applications. We're looking at different ingredients that kind of fit into helping people with their health concerns and to live older and healthier and more active lifestyles.
Okay, so you said something really, I coach consultants and coaches and also high level people. And you said something interesting because I was thinking about the education part. So Paul really kind of was a coach of his day because he would have lectures. So has Bragg thought of maybe opening up and creating some sort of like coaching program?
I have never thought of that. I don't think that's ever come up from anyone in the company, but it certainly is a great idea. And that is very true to the legacy of Paul and Patricia. Both the Paul and Patricia traveled and spoke to people. So I think that's a wonderful idea. We do have a plan to reboot our website. I think we continue to our bragg.com. We try to make our website a really great information source for people who want to learn more about how to bring these products into their lifestyle to help them. And we want to take that to the next level. But I think that's a very interesting idea.
I think so too, because I just think that the information piece connects people to the products more psychologically and emotionally.
Yes.
But what I do like about Bragg is you have not changed your branding.
Right. Yes.
And sometimes people change the branding. I'm like, oh, they shouldn't have done that. Now we're going to forget that. There's no reason to change it because then people recognize it, love it, and they're not then wondering, oh, that's the new Bragg. I often wonder why people rebrand when they're an iconic brand. So don't rebrand, please. That's my advice. Yeah.
There's such a nice story behind it too. Paul Bragg was a big fan of Barnum and Bailey Circus. He loved kind of the circus. So the colors were pulled from that.
Interesting. It does look like that actually, come to think of it. Yeah. Well, this has been fascinating. Okay. So what's something about business? You've been in business and it's been in the natural food spaces. And you must know a lot about that after, the people that you worked for. But what's something you've learned? You're a CEO, for goodness sake. So what's some business thing that you've learned, the biggest thing you've learned in business that applies to all business people? What's that one nugget that you want to share with people?
I think the biggest thing I've learned is to try to really focus in on the important things and just be dogmatic and communicate. Earlier in my career, I remember sitting in a meeting and one of my employees saying, "Gee, Linda, I wish you had told us this." And I was thinking, I have said this like a dozen times, but if it's not heard, it's not really valid. And you really have to be able to make sure that your team is all aligned on where we're going. What's the focus? Where are we headed? And if we're all pulling in the same direction, we're going to see progress. So I think that's the biggest thing. It's very easy, especially when you're coming into a new position as I was in 2019 with a lot of things that had to be figured out, or certainly if you're an entrepreneur where you're facing those challenges every day, to get scattered and you've got to force yourself to pull it in and then communicate clearly on these priorities.
I love that. That's everything I believe. To focus, make sure everybody's on board, make sure we all understand the mission. And also, I call it highlighting your communication because things are said. Like, well, I said that. No, you did. Yeah, I did. It's because it's not highlighted. Hey, everybody, here I have something to tell you. Here's the way forward. Then people perk up and go, oh, and here's a memo about it too. Now it's in writing and right. Yeah. You're like, but I said that 10 times. So true, because people don't have a common mission and they're not being read the memos, and this is what we're doing. And also to share information freely. I'm finding that in all organizations, no matter how, because I used to be an executive coach, no matter how big the organization is, even if it's 2 people, okay, often the one team member will withhold information from the boss. And I found that in companies, it has to become a culture to share freely exactly what's going on because people inadvertently or on purpose hold information.
Yes. And I love that you said that because one of Bragg's core values is being open. And that's about being transparent in the information. We share a lot about our company performance with employees that other companies wouldn't share. I really believe that for people to be able to grow and succeed in their careers, they have to understand how all the parts work throughout the company. We have company reports where people can go and look and see what's going on in operations, what's going on in sales, what's going on in accounting. It's all there for people to absorb. And I think that's a great point. When you're holding on to information, you may not realize it, but that can be impacting someone else who's in a whole different department doing a whole different focus of their job.
Right. Well, I love that you're so transparent because it does make people feel a part of their actually part. Each employee has to feel like they're, a shareholder in a way,
Yeah.
and that they have, it's not like a satellite job over here that we're connected to a whole. So that's really good. And have you created some change in that direction to be more transparent or to involve people more?
Oh, absolutely. I think, and I've been through this a couple times in my career. It's a challenge to go from an entrepreneur run organization into more of a management team run. So I think with Bragg, with Applegate, when you have an owner, an individual owner, they're kind of making the decisions, they're making the calls, and you have to go through that transition to be more open and transparent so that the team is more owning those decisions rather than just the entrepreneur. Right. So that is a big cultural change for an organization when they're kind of used to looking up at the founder for direction.
Is that what you came into when you took it over?
Oh yeah, Patricia Bragg, that was very much at the center of the organization's decisions and strategies and mission, for sure.
And so now it's a little bit democratic over there.
Yeah, I think we've got the whole team is involved. We have a lot of cross-functional communication. That's something we pride the organization on at all levels, to really make sure that cross-fertilization of ideas is happening.
How exciting. Well, this has been a pleasure to have you on the show. If people want to find out more about Bragg products, there'll be a link in the show notes. And if you're listening, please share this and keep listening and subscribe. And we've got some wonderful shows coming up very soon, as usual. Thank you so much. You're listening to the Business Wealth Impact Podcast, your source for empowering information and cutting-edge ideas from the world's top minds. I'm your host, Jeanne Amlour, founder of seven-figure coaching company, Jeanne Amlour International. Join me on a journey to unleash your potential and create your highest success. Welcome to Business Wealth Impact.